Hello, welcome back to In the Stands. It's another day, it's another episode of the podcast. Jamie, what should they look out for in the upcoming episodes?
Many things Harry should look out for, including Liverpool clinching their title after a wonderful victory from Chelsea against Manchester City. We cover Arsenal's 2-0 win over Southampton. Arguably, Southampton were the better side. Possibly not. Listen to find out. Mikey, what is the last thing we covered in the podcast?
It was Burnley against Watford was the last thing we covered. And also listen out for Ollie's slight appearance in this podcast before the internet decides to give up. So,
All right, make sure you listen out for that and listen out for all the other things we talked about right as well. It's coming up right now.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Daily Roundup. A couple games, but also some big news as well. The main event was the Chelsea-Man City game. Basically, if points were dropped by City, then the title would go to Liverpool, and it very much ended up that way. A 2-1 win to Chelsea meant that Liverpool are crowned champions 7 games early. So with my normal co-host to talk it through, so I'm with Jamie. Did you catch the game, Jamie?
I did not, but I've watched loads of highlights about it, so I'm fully prepared.
Okay, Harry, did you able to see
I'm in a
it?
similar situation. I'm fully prepared. I watched it all, bar 87 minutes of it. So I watched 3 minutes worth of highlights, read up the match report and all that. So I'm fully prepared. We're probably not going to talk about that game as much as we are Liverpool's success this season.
And Mikey, were you able to catch
I
the
listened
game
to it on the radio. So it was good fun. It was good fun.
All right, fair enough. Well, it's probably not the main point to talk about. Like Harry said, it was more the fact that Liverpool have finally been able to win a league. What's your guys' immediate reaction to it?
Fair play.
Fair play. I mean, to that,
Chelsea...
they've been the best team in the league this year by a mile. No one could keep up with them. No one has been able to outplay them apart from Watford. So, they have been outstanding this year, and they completely deserve the league title.
As I say, Chelsea winning another league for another team second time in 5 years. You can say they're a real great team here. You could argue. Yeah.
I mean, if I was them, I'd prefer to win a league myself rather than win it for other teams. But like you said, Liverpool have by far been the best team. And to be fair, they're probably going to break all the records Manchester City set 2 seasons earlier, which, to be fair, up until that point, I don't think anyone thought were beatable. 100 points in the season was mental. And now it seems like we're going to smash that record, lose the second least amount of games, obviously, because Arsenal didn't lose any. And they've had a phenomenal season. But do we think they can do it back to back? And what do they need to do to make it back to back titles?
I don't really.
Oh, no, you go, Jamie.
Thank you, Mikey. I don't believe so, to be honest. But I think they have the quality. I think they have quality there. However, just other teams are progressing around them now. Whereas the last 3 seasons, you could argue it's only really been City and Liverpool. But now Chelsea and you could argue United could really have a push and possibly challenge them. Not necessarily to the title, but challenge them to beat him for once rather than getting smashed.
Sure.
So, to answer Harry's question, do you not think they need to strengthen then? Or is it just performance?
Well, basically, where do you reckon they could strengthen? Because they're quite, obviously, a lower centre back maybe. Apart from that, unless players leave, you can't really replace them with the same quality.
I'd argue quality, maybe not immediate quality, but I think they're very lucky that their front three, who basically gets their goals for them, didn't really get injured throughout the whole season. So I don't think you can rely on those to be fit for the whole of the season, especially if the season's next season going to carry on and have a very minimal break. I don't really see them doing it for a long period of time. So I'd imagine they'd probably need to strengthen those 3. That's just my opinion, though. Would you agree with that, Mark?
Yeah. I think they really need someone to replace Firmino. Not in the starting 11, but as in if he gets injured, because there's not a player like him, unless Minamino can do it. But we haven't really seen enough of him to see if he can do Firmino's job or not. And again, with the point of it being, are they going to dominate for the next 5 years? We thought City were going to dominate for the next 10 years. having done back-to-back and nearly got 100 points in 2 seasons, and then they've been quite far off of Liverpool. So you just never know. Liverpool could start next season and have a bit of a Chelsea where they just drop off and they don't have a good start, and all of a sudden they're behind City and Chelsea and United. So it looks good for Liverpool because it's not an old side either. The front three, they're all 28, aren't they? So they at least got another 3-4 years at their peak. They've got plenty of room to progress and keep this up. It's just whether the players are motivated. After 2 years of coming close, they finally got there.
Yeah. Do you think Liverpool can do any difference? Because I know City they won the league, they were centurions or whatever, and that's the top they got. Do you think that this season it was just that Liverpool were that brilliant, or do you reckon City did drop off a little bit that allowed Liverpool to make that gap so big? Because it did seem like City dropped a lot of points in key games, don't you think?
But that's expected of title challenges. You look at past seasons, no one's come close to 100 points. I think before that, Chelsea got 94, was it, the record? And then before that, you could probably get high 80s and still win the title. Teams do drop off. It's just Liverpool have been outstanding this season. I don't know how many points City are on or how many they could accumulate by the end of the season. But they've not had a bad year. It's just that Liverpool have just been that step above, and they have been the best team in the league.
That's where I think Manchester City need to strengthen, because for me, I don't think, with their full team, I don't think they would have won the league anyway, because like you said, I think Liverpool have almost had a flawless season. They've dropped very minimal points. But in the games that Manchester City have lost, it has been because of those key injuries from Laporte. Last season it was De Bruyne, but they were okay. And they've just had to sort of fill in gaps left, right and centre rather than fill in with actual quality. And that's the problem, that if Liverpool have had 2 seasons without having a serious injury anywhere in their team, it's like law of averages. It's very unlikely that they're going to go a 3rd season in a row without having either an injury to Mane, Salah, Firmino, Robertson, Trent, Van Dijk, just one of those. Because even one injury to one of those people, because you saw against Watford, you saw against Everton, an injury to Robertson, for example, that ruins their whole system, because that's the way they play. And maybe down that left-hand side, they can't be as ambitious in the attacking unit. So for me, like you said, I think they do need to strengthen in quality. And I think players will want to go there because, 1, they're going to be league challengers. 2, they're going to be Champions League challengers. And, people are going to want to win those sort of league titles. And now they've got proof that they can do it. There's going to be players flocking around that club trying to get there if Klopp's interested in them.
Welcome back. Sorry for that slight little cut there. Ollie had a little malfunction with his internet. Anyway, moving on from the Liverpool winning the league, let's talk about how they won the league and the result from Chelsea versus Manchester City. What are your thoughts on the game, boys?
Exciting. It was a very exciting game. It was. A lot happened. Goal line clearances, lots of goals, fantastic free kicks, red card, controversy. It was a good game.
A perfect title-deciding game, you could argue, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Harry, what are your thoughts on Pulisic's performance throughout the game then?
Pulisic, when he's been asked upon by Chelsea, he's always seemed to perform. He did it against Aston Villa. He did it early in the season against Burnley. And to be fair, his injury troubles previously in the season is the only reason why he's not played more games. He came in yesterday. He capitalised on a mistake through pressing their players. Came in, it's a great finish as well, makes it 1-0, and that really set the precedent of the game. I did think that Chelsea were going to, crown Liverpool the champions before. Everyone was like, oh no, City City weren't going to win that game. It was always going to be a win or a draw for Chelsea, and that seemed to what happened. And yes, they might have got a bit fortunate with Fernandinho deciding to be the goalkeeper rather than kick it on near off the line, but the penalty was well taken by Willian, and game over for City, which sort of everyone expected. If it wasn't this game, it'd be the next one. So,
Ollie, what are your thoughts on the Fernandinho red card? Was it uncalled for, or was it determined?
Well, he cleared it twice without using his hands,
Mm-hmm.
and the third one just hit Abraham. I think it was on his knee or something. But if that's what he thought he had to do, that's what I guess he thought he had to do. I probably don't think he had to do it, but I guess if you take the chance, you take the chance, don't you? I mean, Suarez did it, and it saved them the
elimination,
them scoring, and I guess he just took a gamble, and but no crowd or anything there to try and overwhelm him. It's just a penalty, which is pretty much like a training ground penalty. So William had no problem putting it top corner, and it just put the nail in the coffin, really, didn't it?
Yeah. Would you say you are surprised by Chelsea's current form, considering Frank Lampard is his first time managing the top flight? Did any of you boys see this coming from Chelsea, having Frank as their manager?
No. I thought Chelsea were going to drop out of the top four at the start of the season. I thought they weren't going to have as good as a season as they have had. With the youth players that he's brought through, they've done well. Of course, Abraham started the season really well. Pulisic has been a good signing. I don't think he did it though, did he? I've got no idea. But with what Lampard's been given, he's done well with, and they're performing above what I think a lot of expectations were, and could be ending up getting Champions League football at the end of the season.
So it talks about Chelsea, now it's Manchester City. And where do they go from here, though? They've lost 2-1, they're not going to be champions, and 7 games left. What's going to happen from here for them?
To be honest, I really think they've been lost since Rich Vincent Kompany left the club. Not let alone their captain, their club captain, but on that position he has on the pitch is gone. Especially, arguably, where Fabian Delph is also left as well. He's also a leader in that Man City dressing room, which was shown through these clips and TV series of the Man City documentary. The 2 big leaders have left their club, and they're just lost, in my opinion. Fernandinho and David Silva are leaving at the end of the season. 2 big names in the dressing room. I've been there for a long time. I really don't know what they're going to do, to be honest. It's a lost club, but I think Pep is the manager to change it around, obviously. It's just depending on who they bring in.
I think these signings of 2-3 seasons ago where you had Sterling and De Bruyne come in, I think they're now coming in and trying to be that team leader, and you're sort of at that crossover point where you've got the players of that first sort of spending spree at Man City. They're starting to come to the end of their careers, like Torre's gone as well. All these players are going, and now you're getting this second flock of players that are now becoming the leaders in the dressing room. And it might take another season to get it done. But I think Pep's always then had an eye on Champions League and FA Cup and just trying to bring in as much silverware as they possibly can. Because, of course, Man City haven't won the Champions League. Furthest they've got is the semi-finals and the quarterfinals of Pep, wasn't it? So, he's definitely focused on trying to get that Champions League into Man City.
So, do you think that would be their main priority now, quite obviously? And with the last 7 games of the season, and they probably won't drop out of second, but they're also not going to go higher than second either. With that in mind, do you think they're going to rest players just for that August period of 3 or 4 games to win the Champions League? Or do you think they're going to try and end the season with their full squad and go, do you know what? No, let's try and get the most points that we can, go into it with the Champions with confidence, because they've already got a 2-1 aggregate lead over Real Madrid, and go win the Champions League.
With City, even when they rotate their squad, they've still got quality. So it doesn't, I don't think the rotation front is the problem. I think they might as well, I don't know who's coming through the youth system at the moment, but they might as well give them a chance up front, because Gabriel Jesus doesn't seem to be the one that Pep is starting for. Aguero's out injured now. I don't know if it's the rest of the season, but when it didn't seem like that they had a way out, it seemed like that they didn't have bodies in the box when they got forward as well, because they were trying to play this false 9. Was Sterling playing down the centre?
I think so.
I'm not too sure. But yeah, they were trying to play with this false 9, and it just wasn't quite clicking for them last night. So yeah, I think maybe give a couple of youth players, give Phil Foden more of a chance as well. See if he can really, well, he's got the quality, he just needs to get the games. Yeah.
Another thing they can go for.
A team that was lacking.
Oh, Harry, you naughty boy. Another thing they're going for is the FA Cup. Is realistically, Liverpool are the main competition of that. They lost to Chelsea, yes, but they should really push the FA Cup and get that silverware back in the club. As I said, Liverpool dropped out of it, so they can easily push and win it, in my opinion, as well as the Champions League, and they can still be classed as a successful season. they can have. Even though, yes, they may have dipped out the title race, still something they should really push for.
Yes, there's still some big teams in the FA Cup. You look, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Leicester are still in it. Newcastle on a good run of form, so it's not going to be easy for them. They do have to go to Newcastle away in the quarter-final, and we know that Newcastle are strong defensively, and they can just get you on the counter a little bit of magic from Saint-Maximin, and all of a sudden they could be 1-0 down. So Newcastle's still going to be a tough game for them, and I wouldn't say the FA Cup's going to be a walk in the park.
A team playing for the FA Cup, like you said, was Arsenal, and they played Southampton yesterday and got a 2-0 win. What's your immediate reaction to that? Because, you know, we're Saints fans. We try not to be biased on this podcast. That's what we try our best not to do, because there's other places that we can do that. But 2-0, you know, not comfortable, but they got the job done.
They did what they haven't done for the entirety of the season, really, and they held out for a result. They, even though Southampton had majority of the possession in the second half, they looked comfortable, didn't really get troubled by a lot of things, and they just did what they had to do to get 3 points.
Yeah, you look at that game and it's decided by two mistakes. You think Southampton will be disheartened by losing in that way, or do you think they'll go, do you know what? We did well that game. We got 3 shots on target. 12 in total, and you know it's disappointing to lose, but there's also positives to take out of losing that game.
From watching the game, you wouldn't think that Southampton would have lost 2-0 for that, because there's lots of positive starts. I'd argue we dominated quite a lot in the second half. Apart from obviously they've got the goals, the amount of passing play we're doing is ridiculous, and we had I don't know the exact stats, but for a good majority of the second half, we had the most possession of the ball. We just couldn't put it away. We got a few chances that were very unlucky. But I don't think Southampton's disheartened this result, as we're still done quite well since the comeback, obviously 3-0 against Norwich. And we've got a few interesting games ahead of us. But I still we've got Watford next week, then a bit of a tough run with City, Everton and United. But if we can get the points with Watford, I don't think there should be anything to worry about.
Do you know what my theory behind that game is? You know, we're 1-0 down. We got the red cards because Jack Stevens thought, as a team player, he thought, do you know what? We need 3 back-to-back wins. And do you know how we're going to get that? Aerial duels 1. Vestergaard's going to come in. He's going to get all the headers, and that means that we're going to win the next 3 games, because they're tough games against Watford, Manchester City, someone else after that.
Everton.
3 tough games, and we're gonna win. But all the joke aside, with Arsenal, you know, Arteta's sort of shown his might in the fact that he's got injured players. He drops Guendouzi completely because of the discipline. They went 1-0 up, and rather than going hell for leather and like they did against Brighton and sort of didn't really manage the game well, they didn't care that Southampton sort of came onto them. They were confident in the way they set up. They did good game management, unlike the way they did against Brighton. In the end, they came away with 1, a clean sheet, which is massive for them, but also another goal as well.
Yeah, I think it was good game management from Arsenal, but I think Southampton will be disappointed coming away from the game because it's 2 silly mistakes that have cost them. Yeah, I don't know what is going through McCarthy's head when he's got the ball at his feet. You think he's looked up, he's seen the Arsenal player approach him, and you're thinking, just lump it. He had options right and left too. He didn't have to pass it straight to his feet, and that's what he did. And it was a simple finish, really, for Nketiah. And then the second one is a horrible pass from Højbjerg. Stevens gets close to the ball, but doesn't quite get there and brings down Aubameyang for the red card. And then it's defenders not pushing up and people not marking their men. And then that's what's caused the second goal. So it's 3 silly errors that have really cost Southampton. And that's been the story of the season, really, where silly errors and stupid mistakes have sent them. Well, we were in the bottom 3 about 4 or 5 months ago. So it has been stupid errors that have cost Southampton this year of having a good season.
Yeah, well, looking on to the final game, and Burnley won 1-0. It was a good goal from Jay Rodriguez, but a lot of the talk off the pitch wasn't about that. It was more about the future of Sean Dyche. You know, before the game, there was a lot of rumours about his future. What do you think Sean Dyche is going to do? Do you think he's going to leave? Do you think he's going to stay? What needs to happen for him to stay?
Well, I think he's fed up with the board, to be honest, Harry. To be honest, it's evident he's fed up with the board. As he's getting fed up with all the players other players that ran out of contract are getting let go. He couldn't name a full bench, and then 2 senior players on that bench as well, which is a ridiculous place to be in. As a manager, he's admittedly been trying to battle for European football. They still got a chance that they could have possibly got that could still get that this season if they try hard, but obviously not with the current state the club are in. And obviously I'm not a Premier League manager, evidently, but I need to have some backing from the board and say in the summer, yes, we're losing all these players, but are you going to replace them for me? As if Burnley don't, they'll be taken down as Championship next season, no doubt.
You look at this. So Burnley's been in Europe. They've been a Premier League club for at least 5 years now, I think, or consistently a Premier League club for the last 5 years. They've been up and down. They obviously should have money in the club from all the TV rights in the Europa League. And you look at what Dyche has done with a club with that little financial power and that little reputation as well to go into a European competition. He's done brilliantly, and he's been linked with the likes of Everton and teams like that to get given a job that he could progress. I feel sorry for Dyche as well, because it seems like he's been branded with a style of football where it is drop back, set pieces, and playing really defensive. But that's what he can do with his players. He can't do a lot else with the quality that he has. And what he's done with Burnley is fantastic, and I think he might be on his way out, especially if he gets a decent offer this summer.
Do you think he would work somewhere else? Because you've seen on this small budget, like you say, it's that this season I think they brought in Eric Peters and Jay Rodriguez amongst a couple of other players, and those players have worked. To be fair, Eric Peters, I at the start of the season thought was a ridiculous deal, yet he's still been a good squad player. Jay Rodriguez has quite obviously got the winner today. Do you think he's working with a bigger budget and find those? Maybe doesn't need to find those niche players at Everton if he's given that sort of money. I know he won't go to Everton because Carlo Ancelotti, but that sort of team.
I think he would do a good job if he's given the financial power. I think he would do a good job. Because the thing is, like these English managers, they do get a reputation put on them because they have to work their way from the bottom. It's the same with Warnock, and if you actually give them the chance to work with better players, I don't know if they would actually get better results out from them. It's a strange one, but you never know until you give them a chance.
Yeah, well, looking at the final bit, and obviously Watford would be bitterly disappointed if they're lost. You know, they're against a team that they not expect to win, but a team that was quite clearly bruised by both the result and the matters off the pitch, and they succumbed to a 1-0 loss. Next up, they've got Southampton, Chelsea, Norwich, and then Newcastle. So a real mixed bag sort of fixtures. Are you still confident that they can stay up? Do you think there's better teams out there? I think they'll be better because there's worse teams. What are your thoughts?
Well, they're all literally Watford a dodgy club to us, because I could see them go either way. I could see them having a really good end of the season, or it could literally be the complete polar opposite. But like I said, I think they're very lucky in the fact that our team's worse than them, but I have quite unfavourable fixtures against them, like the likes of Aston Villa and Bournemouth, as Norwich have evidently gone down now. I think if there's any other season, they would probably be down. They should just be thankful for the fixture list, to be honest, because Bournemouth and Aston Villa and West Ham arguably all are in a worse off place fixture-wise.
To be fair, they do have teams around. Like they've got a game against Norwich that could be key for Norwich in their survival, because you're thinking they're already dropping points, they're losing ground to the teams above them. That's probably going to be their last hurrah. They've got West Ham as well, who's around that bottom bit. They got Newcastle. It's a tough run of fixtures. They end the season with Man City and Arsenal. So it's not going to be plain sailing for Watford for the rest of the year. They're going to have a tough one, and I think it will be, if they can get the results against West Ham and Norwich and Southampton, then they'll stay up. It's just about beating the teams around them, because every team at the bottom have at least got the top clubs at least twice, I think, maybe a little bit more. So as long as they can beat the ones around them, I think they should be fine. It's just about getting those performances. Like, I mean, if they would have beaten Burnley, they would have had a better chance of doing it, but they're not. They haven't got the results against the clubs around them, and that's why they're down there.
I think we've covered the games fixtures quite well today. I think tomorrow we'll have a little preview of the games coming up with the weekend, because there's always quite a few. remember to make sure that your fantasy teams are checked because that deadline comes out quite quickly as well. But it's been me, Harry, and I've been joined by
Jamie.
Mikey.
Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.